It's not fear of people, it's fatigue from reading too much of them. Let's clear something up. What the world often calls social anxiety in Sigma females isn't anxiety at all. It's energy overload. It's not about being scared to speak or afraid of being seen. It's about how much they see, feel, and absorb before anyone else even notices the tension in the room. Sigma females aren't socially awkward. They're mentally overwhelmed. Not because they can't handle people, but because they process everything people don't say. The fake smiles, the side glances, the unspoken agendas, the emotional shifts hiding behind polite words, all of that hits them like noise in a stadium. And when their system gets full, they withdraw. Not because they're weak, but because they're wise. They've learned how to protect their peace in a world that drains it without warning. So if you've ever felt like you're too sensitive, too intense, or like you don't belong in surface-level spaces, pause. You're not broken. You're just built to see deeper. That's not a flaw. That's power. Quiet, fierce, and rare. You don't need to fix your nature. You need to stop apologizing for it. You don't suffer from anxiety. You've just been absorbing too much of a world that refuses to slow down. And this is where you reclaim that truth. If this resonates with you, you're not alone. You're just rare. And here, rare is respected. Let's dive in. Number 1. They decline invitations, not because they're anxious, but because they already know what the night will cost them mentally. They don't pay energy for predictable outcomes. See, most people assume that when a Sigma female says no thanks to a social invite, she must be nervous or too shy to come. But that couldn't be further from the truth. She's not scared of the night. She's already seen it. In her mind, she's already played out the conversations, the small talk, the same repetitive energy, and the mental exhaustion that follows. And honestly, it's just not worth the trade. Sigma females don't chase social scenes for the sake of feeling included. Inclusion means nothing if the vibe feels empty, the talk is surface level, and the whole thing is just a performance. They're not antisocial. They're anti-waste. And their energy? That's not something they throw around casually. By the time you finish saying, "You should come out tonight," she's already scanned the emotional cost, factored in the noise, the people-pleasing, the mental clutter, and quietly made a decision. It's not about fear, it's about value. If it's not going to feed her soul, stretch her mind, or connect her to something real, she's out. She doesn't need to attend every dinner, every party, every girls' night just to prove she's okay. Her peace is the prize, not the approval of a room full of people pretending to enjoy themselves. That's what sets her apart. She doesn't chase stimulation. She protects her mental space like it's sacred, because it is. And when she shows up somewhere, you better believe it's intentional. Not out of guilt, not out of pressure, but because she actually wanted to be there. So no, she's not anxious. She's just unwilling to pay emotional tax on experiences that are draining, predictable, and forgettable. And that kind of self-awareness, that's not weakness, that's mastery. Number 2. Crowded rooms don't intimidate Sigma females. They exhaust them. It's not about fear. It's not about being shy or uncomfortable in groups. That's where people get it wrong. A Sigma female can walk into any room and hold her own. Not because she wants the spotlight, but because she knows how to command it without even trying. But just because she can doesn't mean she wants to. For her, crowded rooms are a battlefield of energy. The moment she walks in, her mind starts picking up on everything most people are too distracted to notice. The forced smiles, the tension behind small talk, the competition hiding beneath polite words, the quiet person pretending to be fine, the loud one overcompensating for emptiness. It's all coming at her at once, and she feels it all. This isn't anxiety, it's overstimulation. Her brain doesn't know how to just tune it out. It was built to scan, to analyze, to understand what's really going on beneath the surface. And the more noise, the more pretending, the more social games, the faster her energy drains. So she finds herself looking for exits, not to escape people, but to protect herself. She leaves not because she's overwhelmed, but because she knows what that kind of environment does to her mind. It clutters it. It burns her out. And she values her clarity too much to let it go just to fit in. Most people crave crowds to feel alive. She steps away from them to stay sane. This is what makes Sigma females so different. They don't get pulled into the performance. They see right through it. And that ability, that rare awareness, it's not a weakness. It's their edge. It's how they move smart, stay grounded, and protect what truly matters, their peace, their purpose, and their energy. So if a Sigma female leaves the party early, just know she's not running away. She's recharging for something far more meaningful. Number 3. They hate being interrupted, not because of ego, but because their mental momentum is sacred. Once it's broken, it takes hours to get back into flow. And they know that. Sigma females live in their heads more than they live in conversations. Their thoughts don't just float, they build. One idea links to another, then another, and before you know it, they're deep in a mental groove, solving problems, planning moves, or creating something brilliant, all in silence. But then someone barges in with a casual, "Hey, quick question," or "You're so quiet, what are you thinking about?" And just like that, snap. The mental thread they were weaving disappears. And here's the thing. They're not mad at the person. It's not about being rude. It's just that for them, focus is currency. And when it's stolen, it can't be replaced in 5 minutes. Most people don't understand how long it takes for a Sigma female to reach her zone. It's not a switch she can flip. It's a slow buildup of energy, silence, and deep concentration. And it's fragile. One wrong word at the wrong time can throw her off for the rest of the day. That's why she guards her space like a fortress. Not because she's antisocial, not because she thinks she's better, but because she understands how rare real focus is, and how much it fuels her creativity, clarity, and peace. So if she doesn't answer the door, or takes hours to text back, or wears headphones without playing music, just know she's protecting her momentum. Her mind isn't just active, it's working. Interrupting her is like stopping a song halfway through. You don't just pick it back up where it left off. It's not ego, it's self-respect. And if more people treated their focus the way Sigma females do, they'd get a lot more done and feel a lot less drained. Number 4. They cancel plans last minute, not because they're flaky, but because they miscalculated their emotional budget. They thought they had enough energy left, but now it's gone. Sigma females don't commit to things lightly. If they said yes to your invite, it's because they genuinely wanted to show up. But life doesn't always respect your calendar, especially not theirs. Sometimes the week shows up with too many demands, too many conversations, too many energy-draining moments that pile up like emotional noise. And the thing is, Sigma females don't always realize they're running on empty until it's right before they're supposed to leave the house. Suddenly, their body feels heavy, their mind is foggy, and every social interaction ahead of them feels like a mountain they no longer have the strength to climb. It's not personal, it's not carelessness, it's burnout, the quiet kind. See, Sigma females don't just get tired physically, they get tired mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And they often spend so much time keeping it together for work, family, and responsibilities they don't notice how drained they are until their system says, no more. So yes, sometimes they cancel, but it's never because they don't care. It's because showing up in that state would mean giving you the scraps of who they are, and they respect you too much, and themselves too much, to do that. They know they should have said no earlier. They know how it looks. But that's the downside of being hyper-capable. People assume they always have more to give. Truth is, they don't. So if a Sigma female cancels last minute, know this: she didn't flake. She miscalculated the emotional toll of her week, and now she's got nothing left to give. That's not being unreliable. That's knowing your limit and choosing not to betray yourself just to keep up appearances. Number 5. They don't fidget because they're nervous. It's excess energy trying to find an exit. Their body isn't panicking out of fear, it's reacting to system overload. When a Sigma female starts tapping her foot, biting her lip, or adjusting her rings for the 5th time, don't assume she's uncomfortable or scared. That's not nervousness you're seeing, that's energy. Too much of it all stuck inside her trying to get out. While others walk into a room and ease into the moment, she walks in and feels everything. The tension in the air, the fake smiles, the unspoken judgments, the small talk that feels like static in her brain. And she absorbs all of it. not by choice, but because that's just how her mind is wired. Deep awareness is her default setting. So when her body starts to move in these small, restless ways, it's not insecurity. It's her nervous system saying, this is too much, too fast, too loud. She's taking in the tone of voice someone just used, the shift in someone else's eyes, the way someone laughed at the wrong moment. She doesn't even realize she's doing it, but the input piles up and her body starts releasing it in fragments. A twitch here, a glance there. It's her inner world trying to stay balanced while the outer world overwhelms her senses. And here's the truth. She's not socially fragile. She's hyper-aware. So much so that being in a room full of people can feel like standing under a waterfall with no off switch. What you see as fidgeting is her way of keeping herself from shutting down. She's trying to stay grounded while her brain is running at full speed. So don't misread the signs. She's not falling apart. She's simply processing more than most people even notice. And once she's had enough, she'll leave. Not because she couldn't handle it, but because she knows her limit. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's number 6. They don't laugh at things they don't find funny, even if it kills the vibe. They're not awkward. They're just allergic to pretending. Sigma females don't fake laugh. They don't force chuckles to make others feel comfortable. They're not going to giggle at a joke they find lazy, offensive, or just plain boring. And it's not because they're cold or uptight. It's because they physically can't fake it. Their body rejects inauthenticity like an allergy. They sit in circles where everyone's laughing at something shallow and they're just still, not rude, not judging, just not amused. And yeah, it might feel awkward to everyone else. But to her, pretending to be entertained is a bigger violation than sitting there in silence. Because for a Sigma female, energy is sacred. And laughter, real laughter, is something she doesn't hand out unless she means it. If something's genuinely hilarious, she'll laugh harder than anyone. But if it isn't, she's not performing. She knows when the joke is being used to cover up tension, or when the group's laughter is just a way to avoid real conversation, and she refuses to be part of that game. She won't play along just to blend in. That kind of blending costs her too much. So yes, sometimes she kills the vibe. The punchline hits, and while everyone else is losing it, she's looking around like, did we all just hear the same thing? But don't confuse her silence with awkwardness. That's her honesty speaking louder than words ever could. In a world where fake laughter is social currency, Sigma females stay broke and proud of it. Because while everyone else is performing for approval, she's sitting in her truth, clear, calm, and completely unwilling to laugh just to make others feel comfortable. She'd rather be real and quiet than fake and liked. That's not awkward. That's integrity. Number 7. They can be the life of the party, but only when they choose to be. Sigma females aren't socially awkward. They're just selective about when they show up fully, because when they do, trust me, the room feels it. They know how to hold attention. They can be charming, magnetic, witty, even electric. But what most people don't realize is that all of that, it's a choice, not a personality default. It's a switch they flip, when the vibe is right, when their energy allows it, and when they feel safe enough to be fully seen without performance turning into pressure. Because here's what people don't get. If a Sigma female walks into a space and immediately feels like she has to perform, to please, to lighten the mood, or carry a room that's already emotionally empty, it doesn't feel like fun. It feels like betrayal, like she's abandoning herself to play a role that other people expect from her. And she's not built for that kind of self-abandonment. She doesn't do performative smiles or forced laughter just to make other people feel comfortable. If she's on, it's because she wants to be. Because the space allows her to shine without asking her to shrink. Because the people around her are real, the energy is aligned, and she's not just surviving the moment, she's owning it. But if it's not on her terms, don't expect a show. She'll go quiet, she'll pull back. Not out of rudeness, out of self-respect. Sigma females protect their authenticity like gold. They know how much energy it costs to put on a mask, and they'd rather be misunderstood than fake. So when you see her lighting up the room, know this. It's not random. It's not default. It's intentional. and it's real. And that's what makes it unforgettable. Number 8. They dress simply in social situations. Not to blend in, but to cut out the noise. They're not trying to disappear. They're trying not to be distracted by themselves. See, when a Sigma female walks into a room, she's already juggling 1,000 things in her head. The energy in the space, the conversations, the vibes behind every smile, all of it is hitting her at once. The last thing she wants is to also be hyper-aware of how her outfit feels, moves, or draws attention, so she keeps it clean, minimal, comfortable. Not because she lacks style, but because too much texture, color, or exposure adds another layer of stimulus she doesn't want to manage. It's not about fashion, it's about focus. She doesn't need her clothes to announce her presence. Her energy already does that. What she needs is the freedom to be present without adjusting her top every 5 minutes or wondering who's staring and why. She wants to move through a space without thinking about herself more than necessary. That's not insecurity. That's strategy. Sigma females are already processing so much that anything unnecessary feels like static. A loud outfit, flashy jewelry, high-maintenance shoes. All of it is just one more thing asking for her attention, and her attention is expensive. She'd rather wear something simple, seamless, and forgettable, so she can remember herself. It's not about hiding, it's about clarity. She doesn't need to stand out visually to feel powerful. Her calm, grounded presence speaks louder than sequins ever could. So when you see her dressed down, don't assume she's trying to play small. She's actually doing the opposite, stripping away everything that could steal her mental bandwidth. Because for a Sigma female, simplicity isn't plain. It's protection, it's peace, and honestly, it's power, just done differently. Number 9. What looks like anxiety is really self-defense in a loud world. They're not shrinking, they're shielding. Shielding their peace, their space, and their sanity from a world that bulldozes boundaries. To the outside world, a Sigma female might look off, quiet, guarded, maybe even uncomfortable. But here's the truth most people miss. She's not scared of you. She's not intimidated. She's simply protecting herself from the constant flood of energy, noise, and emotion that never seems to stop. She's built with sensitive wiring, not weak, sharp. She feels everything. The fake enthusiasm, the low-key envy, the hidden agendas people try to mask with charm. And because her mind doesn't just hear words, but analyzes everything beneath them, being around people too long feels like standing in the middle of a lightning storm with no place to hide. So no, she's not being distant or awkward. She's choosing self-preservation over performance. She's not retreating because she lacks confidence. She's retreating because peace is expensive, and she refuses to let the world rob her of it. That subtle tension in her jaw, that slight shift in her posture, that's not insecurity. That's awareness. She's scanning, absorbing, assessing. She's reading the room while everyone else is still talking over each other. By the time someone cracks their second joke, she already knows who's lying, who's tired, and who's secretly screaming inside. And if she pulls back, don't take it personally. She's not shutting people out. She's choosing not to drown in noise she didn't create. She's setting boundaries that no one else can see, because those invisible walls are the only things keeping her grounded. So the next time you see her sitting quietly, eyes calm but distant, don't mistake it for fear. She's not anxious. She's just defending her energy from a world that never learned to whisper. Number 10. They don't speak much in meetings, not because they're shy or intimidated, but because most of what's being said is noise, not signal. And when they finally speak, it's surgical, precise, powerful, and often uncomfortable. Sigma females have a filter built into their minds. While everyone else is trying to sound smart, be heard, or push their opinions into the room, she's sitting back, silently sorting through what actually matters. She's not impressed by long-winded explanations or big words. She's listening for substance, and most of the time, there isn't much. So she waits, not out of fear, but out of discipline. She doesn't speak just to fill silence. She speaks when she has something that cuts through the clutter. And when that moment comes, her words hit different. They're not dressed up. They're not sugar-coated. They get to the point, slice through the fluff, and sometimes leave people a little uncomfortable. because she's not here to impress, she's here to clarify. People often mistake her silence for disinterest. Truth is, she's 10 steps ahead, analyzing patterns, spotting blind spots, reading between the lines. While others are still arguing over surface-level stuff, she's already reached the root of the issue. And when she finally speaks, the room tends to go quiet. Because everyone knows, if she's talking, it's important. There's weight behind her words. Not volume, not noise, weight. She doesn't need to dominate the conversation. She dominates with precision, and that's what makes her so powerful. In a world full of talkers, she's a listener who speaks with impact. So if she's quiet during your meeting, don't assume she's zoning out. She's just waiting for the right moment to drop the one line that resets the entire conversation. Not intimidated, not passive. Just sharp, focused, and completely unwilling to waste a single word. Number 11. Resting face isn't rude. It's default observation mode. You might look at a Sigma female across the room and think, she looks annoyed, or she doesn't want to be here. But what you're seeing isn't mood, it's focus. That's still unreadable expression. That's not boredom, and it's definitely not anger. That's her brain taking in everything, scanning the room, reading body language, clocking unspoken dynamics, tracking emotional undercurrents, all while barely moving a muscle. Her face is still because her mind is active, hyper-aware, calm on the surface, calculating underneath. Sigma females don't perform emotions just to make others comfortable. They won't fake smiles or slap on cheerfulness just to avoid being misunderstood. That neutral look they carry, it's the face of someone running high-speed analysis in the background. She's mapping the vibe, not judging, just observing deeply. She's noticing how someone's laugh doesn't match their eyes, how that couple across the room keeps touching but never really looking at each other, how that one person keeps interrupting because they're terrified of silence. It's not that she's detached, it's that she's present in a way most people aren't used to. She's fully there, absorbing layers that others miss entirely. And let's be honest, society has taught women especially to always soften their expression, to look pleasant, to smile more. Sigma females reject that rule, not out of rebellion but out of truth. Their face isn't here to entertain, it's here to see, to understand, to protect their energy in environments full of noise and pretend. So no, she's not rude. She's just tuned into things others don't even notice. And if her face looks serious, it's because life is layered, and she's not here for surface-level anything. That's not a resting face, that's the mind of a storm behind still water. So, let's set the record straight. What the world often calls social anxiety in Sigma females isn't fear, it's energy management, it's protection, it's the wisdom of someone who knows that not every room deserves access to their inner world. You're not shy, you're not cold, you're not awkward, you're aware, deeply, constantly, and that level of awareness costs energy. You move through life with a radar most people can't see, picking up micro-expressions, subtle tones, emotional shifts, and every invisible string people use to manipulate or control. And when your system hits capacity, it's not anxiety, it's overload. It's your body and mind saying, enough, we've seen too much. And that's not weakness. That's intelligence. In a loud world that constantly demands more, you've learned the power of less. Less talking, less pretending, less tolerating. And because of that, you see what others miss. You feel what others ignore. And you retreat, not to escape, but to recover your depth in a shallow culture. Being a Sigma female isn't easy. You won't always be understood. You'll be called distant, intense, too much, or not enough, sometimes in the same breath. But don't ever shrink to fit in, because the truth is, you're not broken. You're built differently. You don't seek attention. You seek meaning. You don't need the spotlight. You are the power source behind it. And while the world may not always appreciate quiet strength, don't ever doubt that it's rare, real, and necessary. Protect your energy. Honor your instincts. Speak when it matters. And never apologize for the way you move, especially when it confuses the people who've never had to protect themselves the way you do. You're not hiding. You're holding ground.